Hello there, Ian from Eurogamer here. Over the weekend, I sank a few hours into the second phase of Fear the Wolves closed beta tests. It's another upcoming 100-player Battle Royale game, and I've got a few first impressions here for you, along with 10 things you need to know about Fear the Wolves, which is handy because that's the title of the video. Enjoy! First up, a quick bit of scene setting. As I mentioned before, Fear the Wolves is another 100-player Battle Royale game. However, this one has a couple of twists to it that aim to separate it from the crowd. Firstly, Fear the Wolves shares its DNA with the Stalker series. That means it's set after the messy meltdown of Chernobyl, and it takes place within a 25-kilometre squared section of the radiation-ravaged exclusion zone. So, instead of red zones or blue zones or storms or gas or whatever the fook other Battle Royale games use to get your ass moving, in Fear the Wolves you've got to deal with health-draining radiation and some other, quite frankly, bizarre byproducts of the nuclear disaster. There's also a rather interesting endgame here too, but I'll get to that bit later on. At the moment, Fear the Wolves is in a pretty rough state, what with it being a beta build and all that, so expect to see many glitches and bugs in the following video as well. It's worth bearing these in mind because the early access phase is supposed to be starting very soon, and really that doesn't give the developers that much time to improve on things. As with most Battle Royale games, you can customise your character's look, gender and weapons in Fear the Wolves, but in the current beta your options are severely limited, and by severely limited I mean everyone you see has to play as exactly the same female character, and you can only choose between one of two t-shirts. This leads to some horrifically creepy scenes like this one as you wait for the game to start, so fingers crossed they add in some different character models for the early access build. Otherwise, everyone who plays this game is gonna have nightmares. At the moment, every other customization menu is locked out, so I can't see exactly what all the options will be here, but there'll definitely be some detailed customization in the form of hand tattoos and accessories. Also, there's an option for rewards, so that suggests we'll be able to unlock certain cosmetics, perhaps by winning matches or leveling up. The start of every Fear the Wolves match plays out in a traditional Battle Royale fashion. You and the rest of the combatants fly over the map in some kind of vehicle, in this case a helicopter, and at a moment that suits you, you all bail out and head to the ground in search of weapons and loot. The map for Fear the Wolves lacks a lot of detail compared to other games though. There's no real compass here and there's no grid markers, just a load of grey blocks with names next to them that signify big towns or villages. The 7 orange blocks you see are zones which regularly contain high-level loot, so it's worth heading to those if you want to find the big guns. But do be warned, orange zones are protected by packs of roaming wolves, and if you run into them without a gun, it can be pretty easy to get overwhelmed. At the moment, the orange zones are fixed to the same 7 locations, but this gets very old very fast, so hopefully they'll appear in randomised locations once the game enters early access. Look, I know the wolves in Fear the Wolves are meant to be scary because they've got red eyes and stuff, but in all honesty, they just kind of look a bit shitty at the moment. I don't know whether or not they'll be redesigned in the future, but something, possibly the ropey way in which they're animated, just makes them look more than a little bit derpy. The wolves normally roam around in packs of 3, and if they spot you, they'll jump at you and try to turn you into their din-dins. Fortunately, you do have a few ways of defending yourself though. You could try to avoid them, you could shoot them, or you could use their greatest weakness against them: doors. You see, wolves can't open doors with their stupid little paws, so once you've put a bit of wood between them and you, they're powerless to reach you. although sometimes, like in the case of this loopy loopus, they'll have a damn good try. That's not the only wolf glitch I encountered, mind. These manic mutants seem to have a lot of trouble obeying the laws of physics at the moment. I mean, I think that one literally just flew away from me. Be free, little wolfie! Be free! To say that Fear the Wolves took a lot of inspiration from PUBG would be a bit of an understatement. You can spot plenty of similarities in everything from the menus through to the look of the location, but the most shameless schnaffling of all has to be the way weapons, attachments and equipment works. Basically, the thought process here seems to have been, do exactly what PUBG does, but add a little bit more stuff to it. So you get heals and boosts, but there's more of them and they do different things like heal broken bones, reduce radiation, or heal damage over time. There's different levels of backpacks, but you have to make a choice between carrying one of those on your back or carrying an air tank, which will limit your item space but allow you a short period of safety inside radiation zones. There's tiered armor items, but some of those offer more protection against radiation than they do bullets. And then there's the weapons. Pretty much every weapon in PUBG is here, plus a few more, and each one can be equipped with various attachments that you'll find littered around the game world. From sights to scopes to silencers, it's all here and it all works in a similar way to PUBG. Drag and drop attachments to swap them around, or right-click them to auto-equip them onto the most suitable weapons. Basically, if you've ever played PUBG, you'll instantly feel at home with the way the inventory system works in Fear the Wolves. In, say, H1Z1 or PUBG, players get pushed together over the course of a match by circular zones, which slowly decrease in size. In Fear the Wolves, the safe zones are much harder to predict. Here, radiation is the main danger, and that creeps across the map square by square, seemingly at random. It actually works a lot like the way the danger zones used to work in Radical Heights, rest in peace, and they keep restricting the area until there's only a small section left for the end game. The main difference here is that the radiation works in 4 stages. In the early stages, when it first appears on the map, it heralds the appearance of more packs of wolves. On the second stage, the radiation brings with it these weird bubble things, otherwise known as anomalies. While radiation has a standard effect, it fills up your health bar, stopping you from healing, anomalies are pockets of intense radiation that seem to vary in strength. I've been killed instantly by some, whilst others only increase the speed in which I absorbed radiation. So if you can, just avoid them altogether, because they're never not a nuisance. The third stage is the adrenaline stage. Get caught in areas with this effect and you'll constantly take damage unless you're sprinting. This is basically your final warning before the radiation moves on to stage 4, where you'll take large amounts of damage whatever you do. If you get stuck inside stage 4 radiation without an oxygen tank or some anti-rads, well, you might as well kiss your ass goodbye. One of the more imaginative parts of Fear the Wolves is its weather system, which is controlled by people spectating the game. At timed intervals, spectators will be offered the chance to vote between 3 different weather types, with the most popular being implemented as soon as the clock runs out. There's a bunch of different weather types to choose from, and each has its own specific effects, from super sunny, which adds a trippy heat haze to the visuals, through to rainstorms, which can affect things like vehicle handling. The effects from each weather type are highlighted in red squares, which appear above your health bar on your heads-up display. So, once you've learnt what they all mean, you should be able to tell, at a glance, what kind of trouble Mother Nature has in store for you. So, there are vehicles in Fear the Wolves, but they're probably one of the buggiest things in the game at the moment, and to be honest with you, that really is saying something. Driving is obviously the fastest way to get around Chernobyl, but at the moment it's really not recommended due to just how laggy and stuttery the whole process is. The cars jerk and jolt their way along the road, often causing the frame rate to crash to like 0 frames per second or something, and because of this it's terribly hard to get anywhere without becoming lodged on the scenery. To make matters worse, none of this scenery is destructible, so if you're used to smashing through fences in a UAZ in PUBG, you're gonna be pretty disappointed when your car gets stopped in its tracks by a fence made out of twigs. I'm sure this is one of many things on the list to get fixed, so once it's all sorted, these vehicles should be the best way for 1 to 4 people to get around the map without getting their insides cooked by radiation. Hello, this is a Battle Royale game, so of course it has airdrops in it. The planes in Fear the Wolves are kind of hard to spot, but if you're lucky enough to be close to one when it decides to do a big bonus dump on the battlefield, you should see red flare smoke spew out of its rear end just before the drop appears. Follow the parachute down, and if you're quicker than everyone else, you'll get the pick of some high-tier loot which should help you reach the end game. Alright, so apart from the radiation and the wolves and the anomalies, everything in Fear the Wolves is pretty much beat for beat your standard Battle Royale game. That is, until you reach the end game, which is when things get pretty interesting because there are actually 2 ways to win. Now, obviously, you can shoot all the shooty people and be the last shooty person left alive. That's a given. But once the radiation has closed off enough of the map, you'll also get a notice that a helicopter is on its way to extract you. The location of the chopper appears on the map, so everyone left alive knows where to head. When the chopper arrives, it drops a ring of flares and a rope. The first person to climb that rope and make it inside the chopper wins, regardless of how many people are left alive. It's not that simple though. The smoke from the flares can provide great cover for people hiding inside the ring, who can lie in wait and ambush you as you make a dash for the chopper. Or, like this unfortunate chap here, you can be shot off the rope mid-extraction by someone sniping from outside the circle. If you do make it onto the chopper first, or you survive until you're the last person standing, you'll be greeted by this congratulations screen. Here, instead of a chicken dinner, you're rewarded with the phrase, and apologies for my pronunciation here, cheeky breeky if demke. This is a phrase from the Stalker games that became a bit of a meme way back when, and it translates into something along the lines of 1-2, you're on top. Not sure it has the same ring to it as winner winner chicken dinner, but who cares? I survived wolves, radiation, and murderous humans to get here, so I'm going to revel in my victor. Oh no! You bastards! And that's about all the info I have for you on Fear the Wolves so far. It took me a while to get into it, especially due to the incredibly rough nature of the build, but in the end I did see some glimmers of brilliance in there. Its similarity to PUBG made it pretty easy for me to understand, and the endgame especially added a nice, genuinely tense twist to a genre that's already becoming a bit diluted. If you enjoy this look at Fear the Wolves, do give it a like, do subscribe to Eurogamer for more Fear the Wolves coverage in the near future, and do let us know what thing you fear the most in the comments below. Just for fun, mind, this isn't a cheeky way to find out your weaknesses, just in case we're ever thrown into a real-life Battle Royale game together. Although, now you've mentioned it, that is quite a good idea. Goodbye.